as I said, we've been building on the work of great folks like Garden State Equality and individuals like Senate President Sweeney, Senate Majority Leader Weinberg, and others who are here today that you're going to hear from in just a moment. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the man who is one of the leaders in the fight for marriage equality in the state of New Jersey, Senate President Steve Sweeney. Thank you so much.
We had an amazing victory on Friday, a 7-0 decision to support civil rights, right? Right. Yeah. We all should be very happy about that. But this mission is far from finished. We need to do this override. Now the work really comes into place. Senator Weinberg, myself, Senator Lesniak, we can finish the job. We can ensure that courts will never change it by passing this law. So understand, together, working, contacting all your legislators who haven't voted for this, we only need 3 votes in the Senate to start this. 3. So we need your help. We need you to communicate. I can tell you as a legislator, I read my emails. I get them, I read them. I know Senator Weinberg does the same. We're this close. Don't be satisfied with a court decision. We need to pass this bill. We need to override. So we need to double and triple our efforts right now so that we never have to worry about this again.
Right.
Marriage equality is a civil right.
Yes.
And it's a right that we all should enjoy. So let's all work together to finish this. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Our next speaker was fighting for marriage equality, really before fighting for marriage equality was cool.
I thought you were going to say before you were born.
She is the patron saint of marriage equality in the state of New Jersey, and we're very, very proud that she could join us here today. Senator Loretta Weinberg.
Let me go back a little bit, because actually this fight, in a way, started even before, in the dark ages, before I came into the legislature. And I replaced, when I came into the assembly in 1992, I replaced a giant of a civil rights fighter, Bennett Mazer. And it was Bennett Mazer who, in the lame duck of 1991, who got into the law against discrimination, sexual orientation.
Thank you, Eric.
And that was the first big step. People didn't even use phrases like sexual orientation to get it into the law against discrimination. And it was then Governor Florio, on his way out of office, who signed that into the law. And I just wanted to bring that history, because there are people who came even before me in this issue. But I have been involved in this for probably 11 years, nearly, as I can remember, and I've shared this story with some of you, but you're going to have to bear with me and hear it again. I have a 10-year-old granddaughter. She was 10 on September 12th. And at the moment of her birth, I was in my office with the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and as I call it, whatever coalition. And we got the call from the delivery room that the baby had been born, and I heard her cry, and I did what any self-respecting grandmother would do. I burst into tears. And the entire coalition were cheering in the background. At which point, also there was Babs Sipperstein, whom I'm sure many of you know. And I obviously knew she was transgendered, but I only knew her as a woman. And she came up and she put her arm around me, and she said, "I'm a grandfather, you know." At which point I said, "Whatever." So that was what I was doing at the moment of my granddaughter's birth. And I have written this story for her so that when she grows up, she will realize that people were pretty silly at that time to have had to fight to get things like this done in our great state, and also because I don't want her to think that I was home knitting a blanket. So she was 10 in September, and it was shortly before that along with Joe Roberts, another South Jersey leader, that we got involved with the domestic partnership, a very small step for marriage equality in the state of New Jersey. I am so overwhelmed at what's happened at a 7-0 decision in the court that we know we're going to win. There's no question. By the way, I never doubted for a moment that I never thought they were going to get this stay. I know I was one of the few, but I always knew that stay was going to be denied. And at 12:01 tonight, finally, people we love, our children, our brothers, our sisters, our cousins, aunts, uncles, neighbors, friends, are going to have full civil rights in the state of New Jersey. And I am so honored and privileged that you all have kind of allowed me to go on this adventure. And once we do the override, I'm going to get up in the morning and say, okay, what do I do next? Find another issue. That'll take me 11
Collect the
years.
$12 million Governor Christie owes us from the special election.
Okay, that'll be my mission. I'll try to. So I want to say thank you to everybody here, to the people who are working on the campaign, to old friends, to new friends, to all of you. You have been terrific advocates. And as I said, it's my privilege and honor, along with my Senate President, who's a little later coming to the game, but
I got you.
Time for the override. So let's get at it. I think Steve gave you all your instructions to call your own legislators and make sure they all know, particularly before that November election, on how we feel. Thank you very much. Thanks.
One of our special guests, Senator Ruiz, was not able to be here today because of a family commitment, but she's here in spirit, and I wanted to see if either Assemblyman Eustace or Assemblyman Goshora have arrived. I know they're both en route, so we'll hear from them a little bit later. But right now, I want to turn it over to the man who's been my partner in crime for the last couple of months, and a man that I'm very proud to call my friend, the Executive Director of Garden State Equality, Troy Stevenson.
So when we started planning this open house, it was meant to introduce our campaign to New Jersey. We didn't expect to be standing here 2 days after the biggest victory equality's ever seen in the state. But here we are. But what I want you to remember is that New Jersey's seen a lot of victories for equality in the past. In 2006, with Lewis v. Harris, they said we had done it, we had won, and we ended up with civil unions. In 2009, we had the votes to pass marriage equality in the legislature under Governor Corzine, and we let them slip away. And in 2012, we passed marriage equality through both houses of the legislature, only to have it vetoed by the governor. And right now, I'm telling you, we have a court victory, and an amazing one, but we don't have a final verdict yet, and I will not stand by and give up. I will not stand by and say we've done it until we know we've done it, until we guaranteed marriage equality is here to stay. So we're going to override this veto, and we're going to do it as soon as possible. Thank you.
I would like to introduce one of our partners and another partner in crime, the Executive Director of the ACLU of New Jersey, Udi Ofer.
find that everything that needed to be said has been said, so I'm going to be a bit more reflective and just, I want to make sure that everyone in this room right now appreciates the moment that we're in. You know, for folks who have been part of creating social change for many years, you know when you're at that tipping point. And you know how it feels. You know that the conversation is happening without your control, but yet you try to frame it as much as possible. We are in that moment right now on this issue. And yes, it is built on decades of work by advocates that number much more than the people that are in this room. But we have a responsibility to carry that flame. And as Troy said so eloquently, the fight is not over. As much as I know, I'm sure all of you for the past 48 hours have been celebrating with your friends, with your loved ones, with your neighbors, with your family. And we should be celebrating, there's no question about it. But I share Troy's hesitancy to celebrate too early and to make sure that the momentum is not lost. So we have enough people in this room to get us past the finish line. So I hope today we do celebrate. I hope at 12:01, each one of us will be at a different city around this great state, celebrating with families. And then at 12:02, we're gonna continue to fight, and we're gonna win this fight, and we're gonna make this not a temporary marriage, and not a temporary movement, but a real shift. A shift that's not only gonna bring marriage, but a shift that's gonna be built on for generations to come that will make this state and this country a better nation. So the world is watching, the country is watching, and we are all part of it, and let's make it happen. Thank you.
Last but certainly not least, because I don't think either of the assemblymen have arrived, but one of our national partners is here today. Freedom to Marry Action is one of our coalition partners and represented today by Sean Warner. Sean?
I can't thank you all for being here. Like everybody has said, the job is not done. We must continue to push forward, and we need to do that as soon as possible. But I do want to pivot onto what Udi was saying in the sense that the nation is watching, right? We all got elated on Friday, and I got a message from our office, and they said, so can we call this the 14th state? And I said, no, you can't call it the 14th state. So I will be brief because it's warm in here. Let's make sure that this is the 14th state. There are a lot of other states competing against New Jersey to get that coveted number 14. But let's try to get this done as soon as possible. Thank you all. We can only do it with your help. Woo, woo.
So the speaking program is finished, and now the work begins. And we are going to lock the door, and no one will be allowed to leave. No. But what I'm going to do is we're going to turn it over to our staff to talk about next steps and how we turn this tremendous crowd into part of our army that is contacting legislators, that is getting voters mobilized, that is helping move this movement along to get us over the finish line. Because like everybody here has said, the work is not done. We had a great day Friday. Tomorrow's going to be a great day. There will be many more great days to come, but we are not done until this is locked in, guaranteed. They can never take it away. As I say, we got to not only put the vampire in the coffin, we got to nail that sucker shut. And you're going to be part
Don't
of
forget the steak.
Yeah. When I did it for the field staff, I went into much more detail, but you get the point. But we need to make sure that this is done, because what's happened right now is we've had a great victory. And our opponents are praying that we rest on our laurels. They're praying that we stop and say, hooray, we've won, so that they can sneak out a victory from right out from underneath us. We can't let that happen. We cannot let this go unfinished. We have to finish it, and it's up to you. So I'm going to turn you over now to Amelia and Bella, who are part of our outstanding team. And thank you all for coming. And I think there's still a little bit of